All right, so the next thing we're going to do is put some floors in. All right, so floors are fairly simple. They are actually hosted, to different levels. So this one we're going to put on a floor plan level 1. And typically what's going to happen when you put in a floor is it's going to start at the level that you're on in your project browser, and it's going to extrude its depth down. So the walls go up and this goes down. So I'm going to go to my architecture tab, and there is a floor option in here. So if I go to floor, you should pick the 0 generic 12-inch filled white, and we are going to draw a rectangle. Now you'll notice that the level is plan 1 and the height offset is 0, and it will extend into wall core, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We don't actually have a separate core on this wall, but it will extend into the wall core, and we'll see how that works a little bit later. All right, so I'm just going to go to rectangle, and I'm just going to draw from the outside edge to the outside edge, and just going to draw this magenta line around everything. And what that is it's a sketch line. So basically what it's saying is, okay, this is the boundary of the floor. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to extrude it. The other thing that you're going to see come up is a bunch of locks. So I could actually lock the edges of this floor to what is now the outside of those walls. I would recommend not locking things initially until you really know why you would want to restrict them, because typically it'll get you in a little trouble and you'll be constantly removing constraints. So go ahead and leave them unlocked for right now. And you can see it in 3D over here, and when I hit the big green check, which when you're in this mode with the magenta line, it's called a sketch mode, and you can't access any of the other model when you're in here, just those magenta lines. You need to either accept that or reject it. And so I'm going to accept it, and you're going to see it place that floor in. So now I have a floor below that, right? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to level 2 and make a floor up on level 2, or plan 2. So I'll just go ahead and double click on plan 2 and sort of zoom out. Now if I zoom in, you'll see here's plan 2. We've got the stairs coming up, and this one actually has a balcony that comes out in the front, and then in the back it stops, I believe, at this line right here. We can always adjust it later, but I'm going to start with this line right here. So I'm just going to go back to my floor command, and you'll notice that it automatically sets to plan 2 because I'm on level 2. I'm going to go to rectangle again, and I'm going to pick, actually I think that's a railing, so we'll just pick right there at the top of that railing line, and then I'll zoom out and I'll come and pick the edge of that balcony. And you'll see that line appear here, and then I'll hit check. Now it's going to say, would you like the walls that go up to this floor's level attached to its bottom? Because you can see, how we justified all the walls downstairs to go up to level 2? Well, because the floors start at level 2 and go down, now all my walls are going up into my floor. So you can see them coming through the top. So what Revit is asking, would you like to move all those walls down so they will attach to the bottom of this floor? So this is another sort of parametric relationship. And so I would like to say yes to that. So I click yes. And now it's giving me an error message because what it's doing is it's deleting the mullion that was up on top, and it's going to move that curtain wall down, and it's going to recreate that mullion. So actually this is fine to delete these elements because it's going to recreate them. So just say delete elements, and then it will recreate them. And you'll see now that all of my walls are going to the bottom of my floor. All right, so if I sort of look underneath there, you can see that that's restricted to the bottom of that floor. And if I were to move my level, my floor would move with it, and then the walls would move with the floor. So now I have a parametric relationship of the floor to the level, and then so the floor is attached to the level and the walls are attached to the floor. So if I move the level, the floors move and the walls follow the floors. So this is what makes the model or part of what makes the model parametric. Okay, so it's kind of attached to this rig. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and you can go in and start to put the walls in for the second floor. So I'm going to use a shortcut WA for wall, and I'm going to go to my pull down, and I'm going to go and pick the generic interior 9-inch, the 0 generic interior 9-inch wall. And I'm just going to draw this guy from there to there, right? And so by default, it's going up to level plan 3. Looks like I kind of missed the end of that guy. So if you pick the walls, there's these little blue dots on the end, and you can pull them to the edges. So if you miss them, you can just pull them in, right? And then these look like they might be 5-inch walls, so I'll just do wall again, go to the flyout and pick the interior 5-inch walls, and it should want to sort of justify to the, can go to the center of that. Oh, it's on the finished face exterior, so I'm going to escape and actually pick wall center line, and we'll just draw this along the wall center line. All right. And I actually should have made that wall go all the way through the door. So I'm just going to pick it, pull it, and then I'll pick this guy and right click and go to create similar. And we'll put one there, right? And so now we have those walls in. And looks like we have another curtain wall here. Which actually, since we have a similar curtain wall on the ground floor, we can actually copy and paste it up. So I'll just do that here. So if I come in and I pick the curtain wall system, which you can pick different pieces of it, but we want the entire system. So you kind of hover around the edge of it, left click. And right now I'm going to go to Control C. So I'm copying it to my clipboard. I'm going to go back to my floor 2. And I'm going to come up to my paste. I'm going to paste align to selected levels. And I'm just going to pick plan 2 and click OK. And now it's going to recreate that curtain wall mullion again, and that's fine. It's going to do the same thing. So just say delete elements. And then if I zoom out over here, you will see that it has now copied that up into the exact place. So that's a sort of quicker way to do that. I have another sort of curtain wall over here. It's possible, let's do this. I'm just going to pick this curtain wall system and I'm going to mirror it. And I'm just going to pick the center line. And it's not quite in the right place, but it really needs to be mirrored the other way. So I'll mirror it again. So I'm going to click mirror, and then I'm going to get rid of the copy because it made a copy of the last one. I don't want it to copy this one, and I'll just mirror it over there. And then I'll move it kind of into place there, and then I'm just going to pick this guy and pull it kind of over. So I'm just pulling the wall over to right there. Right, so it's kind of right there. Now it looks like this door is a little smaller than the other door. So if you hover over, you can actually pick that grid line here. And if you pick that grid line, you should be able to move from there to there, right? And it'll just move it. So the weird thing is you have to pick the grid line, and then you can use the mullion as a pick point, but you have to pick the grid line in order to move the mullion because the mullion follows the grid line. All right, so now we've got that guy in there. This is probably a 6-inch wall, so I'll just go to wall WA for shortcut, and I'll pick the exterior, see if there's an exterior 6-inch. There is, and it's set to wall center line. So I'll just pick the center line of that wall and move it over to the edge of that guy. Now what I need to do is just decide which one of these things I want to move to the other. So I'll pick this system and go to move, and again I can pick the mullion after I pick the system and move it into place. So now I have those walls in, I have those walls in, and I have this wall in. All right. So that's kind of it for the second floor, I think. Oh, actually, we need to put the walls in for the balcony up here, so you don't fall off and kerplunk. So I'm just going to go to wall again. We have the exterior 6-inch wall, which I think will work. It looks a little bit like the wall actually runs into the door, so we'll have to adjust that. But this 6-inch wall, I only want it to be 3 feet tall, right? So there's a couple of ways that I can do that. I'm just going to go to, it's going to justify base constraint plan 2. So I'm going to go, and instead of having it go up to level 3, I'm just going to make it unconnected. And I'm going to make it, instead of 20 feet tall, I'll make it 3 feet tall. And if I come in, see if it'll, looks like it'll justify, I can get it to justify to the center with all that stuff around. There it goes. And I'll just draw this guy, and you can see it drawing in 3D over there. Right, and so I'll just draw it kind of up next to that. Now what I'm going to have to do is put like 2 little tiny 6-inch walls in there. So I'll pick this system, move that system to justify with that. Pick that system, move it in to justify with that wall. And then I'll do wall again. Leave it on exterior 6-inch, but instead of unconnected, I'll take it up to plan level 3. Now I'm just going to put a little teeny tiny wall in here. Right? And so I'll hit escape to draw another wall over here. Right? So maybe that wall gets moved. Be even with that. Now what's happening is that this curtain wall is actually joining to that other wall, and if I go to a hidden line, right, it's actually embedding itself in that wall. This happens sometimes where you want to disconnect one wall from another. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go disallow join, and I'm just going to pull that. I'm going to pick this and pull it back to there, and it will not join into that wall. And I'll do the same thing over here, right, where it wants to join into that wall. That one pulled out fine, so that one didn't need to. Sometimes you have to work with these walls to get them. Well, let's see. This one. Let's move it out. Let's disallow join. Move it out and move it back in. Right, so sometimes you kind of have to move things around. It also looks like I'm not being super accurate here, so let's pull this out. This guy needs to actually go to the edge of that, and then this guy needs to go to the edge of that. And then it needs to move from there to there. Right, so there's a lot of little adjustments I'm making in here, but you know, seems to be working. So this wall might be a little bit off, right? Like it needs, I just need to make everything fit. So there it goes. All right, so now we've got that guy in. So now we're pretty much done with the second floor, right? All right, so we'll move on to the third floor next.